Hello, folks. My name is Nick Snider, founder and chairman of the National Foundation of Patriotism. Today, I'd like to share with you information regarding the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. I think I need to give you a little bit of history so you can understand why that unprovoked surprise sneak attack occurred. Over the years prior to Japan making that attack, they had become a nation that started to become very aggressive because it lacked in a number of natural resources: oil, coal, things that make a difference in whether a nation succeeds. Actually, in World War I, the Japanese happened to have been an ally with us, and as the years started to evolve, the Japanese started to become a more powerful nation in building up its military forces. Became aggressive enough to start invading places like China, looking for resources. The tension between the United States and Japan became more intense during the Depression years of the 30s. And it was a situation where they were being more aggressive, and knowing that we had started creating blockades on things for them, the tariffs we put on and restrictions of trading with them, and a multitude of things you do before you start shooting were attempting to be done by our government. Japan really turned into the aggressor. The day they actually attacked Pearl Harbor, December the 7th, representatives from the nation of Japan were in Washington, D.C. as part of ongoing negotiations with the United States to relieve some of those restrictions we had placed on trade items. So the surprise attack truly was a surprise attack. On the morning of December the 7th, which happened to have been a Sunday, not normally a day where our military personnel are at their stations and alert and aggressive in action. They were, for the most part, either still in their bunks, again recognizing Navy personnel sleep for the most part on board ship. And in the very few cases, unless they had family there, they might be at a hotel someplace. Or they would have been at church services for church. But the point is, at 8 a.m., just a few minutes before that, the first wave of Japanese planes attacked. Well over 100 aircraft came in, and their principal targets were the ships of the United States Navy. One of the most devastating hits that they made was on the USS Arizona, where they hit what is called the magazine, where all the weaponry, cannons and ammunitions are stored. When that hit, that caused that ship to basically explode and rolled it over. Sadly, the lives of 1,100 men were lost that day in that ship alone. Second wave that came in to attack, attempted to do more devastation. They had destroyed basically all of our aircraft. The second wave had about 170 aircraft in it. They had come in basically 40 minutes later after the first wave of attack, and they came in to finish off what they could. Again, all of our aircraft, for the most part, were destroyed. We probably had the ability to salvage maybe 75 to 100 aircraft, but we were in no position to create a counterattack. When the Japanese finished their attack, they basically just went back to their aircraft carriers. And interestingly enough, there have been statements made that the Admiral Yamato, stated that we have awakened the sleeping dog. And obviously, I could continue forward with the progress we made, eventually defeating the Japanese and their own home front. And if all of you recall, we dropped 2 atomic bombs on that country. The reason we chose to make that attack was because it had been determined that if we attacked Japan, we would have lost at least 1 million of our servicemen and women in that attack. So you can see from the rationale why we did what we did. Today, Japan is one of the most peaceful nations in the world, a terrific trading partner with us, and a country that we have a great deal of love and respect for. So with that, I share with you that the Pearl Harbor incident of December 7th, 1941, as President Roosevelt said, is a day that will live in infamy. But today I'm going to share with you items that are remembrance pieces from Pearl Harbor. And obviously, when I show you the very first piece, as you can see, at the top of it is a pearl. And that's a Navy individual with standing next to an anchor. and it's Remember Pearl Harbor. Kind of clever and cute. This one, which is another one that very, very clearly indicates what has happened in the bombing, because Pearl Harbor became one of the most significant sneak attacks ever caused by any nation when they attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. Here's another one that I think probably illustrates better than any. It's a Jap Zero aircraft attacking a Navy ship in Pearl Harbor, and you see the palm trees, and you recognize that as Pearl Harbor itself. One of the most unique ones, of course, is this particular piece here that shows the globe. Has that tiny island of Hawaii with the words, Remember Pearl Harbor, with a fighter plane, Japanese fighter aircraft coming in to attack it. So when you look at these particular pieces, probably the most interesting of all of the pieces that I have in here becomes the one that simply is about as basic as you can get. This one just simply says, Remember Pearl Harbor, indicated by the large pearl on it. These type of collectibles are very difficult to find. They're relic type pieces. These, of course, now you're looking at something that's 75 years old. And the type of pieces that I collect fall into this category, the principal amount being from World War II. Pearl Harbor really afforded very few pieces. I think overall in my collection, I may only have about 35 or 40 pieces that represent some remembrance of Pearl Harbor. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I look forward to sharing some more information, not necessarily on Pearl Harbor, but areas of collection that I have, and entertain you with seeing some of the most unique and beautiful pieces that have strong meaning of patriotism to every American. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure sharing with you today.